Hey everybody, it's Jason. I'm over here at New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki, the shop that I have here in Brenham, Texas, and I had a couple of thoughts I'd like to share with you. It's April the 29th, 2020, and Texas is preparing to reopen fully at some percentage of capacity in the next day or two, and the shop's going to be open. The shop's currently open for the curbside or whatnot, but just in case anybody was sort of feeling a little over anxious about that, maybe your state's not opening up yet, and you were feeling that maybe a little bit of anxiety or whatnot. Just wanted to share a couple things that I usually practice in my own personal spirituality and stuff that I use to sort of prepare the space for the shop in case you're looking to have some different measures, even if you're opening your own shop or going back to your own work, if you want to create sort of a sacred space for that to happen, where you can not only disinfect, but you can charge the space or clear the energy of the space as well, which, sometimes negative energy can create the capacity for contracting viruses and disease and whatnot in the first place. So setting the space is good for that. The thing that I usually do here when I get to the shop is I light some incense, which is still burning behind me, and then I do an invocation. And as a former pastor, I know that a lot of people get a different understanding of invocation, of what that might mean. I know it's not in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and then a couple of prayers, or even just that basicness that I use here. It's a little bit more broad based. It's a little more shamanic. Um, and I read it to myself or out loud actually, when I get to the shop every day. And it's just an invocation to the four directions. It could be Native American, could be South American, or Northern Native American, or ancient South American. Probably read it somewhere, but I wrote it down in my notes on my phone. And so that's where I read it from every morning. And I'll just go ahead and read you that. And it's an easy thing, and I actually do face the directions, so finding out northeast, south, and west is probably helpful for whatever reason, especially if you practice any kind of art of feng shui. Knowing the directions of your building are a good thing. So invocation, basic. I light my incense. I sit probably sometimes in this chair. Sometimes I stand. The universe knows the level of respect or reverence that you're giving it in the first place. So standing or sitting is less important to me than saying the words with intent. And so usually for the directions, you start with the south, which is actually this direction right out the camera, behind the camera for me. I'm not going to spin away from the camera to read them, but it just starts really easy. To the winds of the south, great serpent, wrap your coils of light around us. Teach us to shed the past the way you shed your skin. To walk softly on the earth. Teach us the way of beauty. To the winds of the west, Mother Jaguar, protect our medicine space. Teach us the way of peace, to live impeccably. Show us the way beyond death. To the winds of the north, Hummingbird, grandmothers and grandfathers, ancient ones, come and warm your hands by our fires. Whisper to us in the wind. We honor you who have come before us, and you who come after us, our children's children. To the winds of the east, great eagle and condor, come to us from the place of the rising sun. Keep us under your wing and show us the mountains we only dare dream of. Teach us to fly wing to wing with the Great Spirit. Mother Earth, we have gathered for the healing of all your children. The stone people, the plant people, the four-legged, the two-legged, the creepy crawlers. The finned, the furred, and the winged ones, all our relations. Father, Son, Grandmother, Moon, to the star nations. Great Spirit, you who are known by 1,000 names and you who are the unnameable one. Thank you for bringing us together and allowing us to sing this song called life. And so it is. And so this space is open and ready to receive customers, ready to create healing. not only for those who enter, but for those who remain, myself, for all the rocks and crystals that are in the shop. And that sort of sets the energy for the space for the day. Nice and simple. The second thing that I wanted to share, I don't know if you have questions about that, but that's it. I say it, it works, the space is open. Some people will say that maybe you should close at the end of the day, close the sacred space, or keep it open. Sometimes people use this for their homes. Some people recite it every day to keep bringing back the spirits to come and heal the space, to be protective of the space, to know that that space is a place of divinity and expansion of consciousness and fun stuff like that. I usually do not close the space, which is maybe in some practice wrong, but it works for me and my space, and I don't feel bad about leaving it open, especially when I usually reopen or rededicate it the next morning, and then this place is never, in my mind, not a place of healing. So there's that. Second thing I wanted to share was the idea of sort of a, I don't call it a personal devotion, but a separate invocation for your own individuality, a petition, as it were, to sort of operate out of that divine space, not just in a divine space. And so the invocation of the four directions is for the space that I occupy. And the thing that I'm fixing to share with you is about creating the sacred space in myself. And so being this sacredness and connecting to that which is beyond myself. And it's very simple. So simple it might seem generic, but it's pretty specific. And I'll just sort of do it and explain it afterwards, perhaps. And so, very simple. Quiet your mind, find your center, and then address this to where or whom you believe God to be, or the Creator, or if you don't like the word God, whatever your spirituality might be. And so this gets past that. So in your mind, I'm addressing what I believe to be the ultimate power in the universe. And you simply say, times three, infinite mind, prime creator, source of all that is. Infinite mind, prime creator, source of all that is. Infinite mind, prime creator, source of all that is. It is my intention that your presence be in my heart now. It is also my intention that you help me clear and release all thoughts, feelings, and emotions that no longer serve me for my highest good or the highest good of the planet. Thank you. That's it. Thank you, Creator, and so it is. Thank you, Creator, and so it is. Thank you, Creator, and so it is. So you've cleared yourself. You've got the indwelling of the prime creator that is responsible for the existence of all that is, and you've asked them to reside in your heart, and you've asked that presence to help clear out anything that is no longer serving you for your highest good or the highest good of the planet. So you're getting rid of negative thoughts, you're getting rid of negative practices, negative habits, all kinds of stuff. You're allowing the universe to decide with your soul what that is, and by the sheer presence of the overwhelming largeness of what the prime creator is dwelling within you, it doesn't really leave room for darkness to remain. Pretty cool. So infinite mind, there is a mind that thinks and contemplates what happens in the universe, has discernment of right and wrong, good and bad, lightness and darkness, all that fun stuff. but there is an infinite mind. So it's almost like a supercomputer or a quantum computer. God is beyond all imagination and all technological advance, and everything that is encompassed in what God thinks. So that's the infinite mind. Prime Creator is simply addressing the expanse of creatorness. We're creators. I'm creating a video right now. I created this combination of crystals in my medicine bag. I create the paint on the walls. Uh, I create. So you all create. People manufacture things. They create. Creation is infinite by finite beings, right? The amount of creation we can do. So the prime creator is the first person, first being that created. So you're going to the prime creator. So you're not addressing if it's in your spirituality or your perception or your consciousness. You're not addressing, hey, alien lords or races that are currently fighting a spiritual or a star battle just above the atmosphere for the soul of the planet. You're not addressing them. You're not addressing all the long lines of deities or angelic beings that you may have read about in books or seen in other um, videos. So it's not you're not asking the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, the Lyrans. You're not asking the angels, the archangels. You're not employing dark forces, the reptilians or the Orinians or whoever it is that may be whatever. So you're addressing the prime creator, the infinite mind that had a thought of what existence would be like and it sprung into being. And then source of all that is. Pretty self-explanatory. So you are encompassing everything at its highest level to come dwell in your heart because that's where you came from, right? So you're asking the infinite to come dwell in the finite in a expansive form, in its greatest form, in whatever tiny fraction that infinite mind, prime creator, and source of all it is has to express themselves into to dwell on your heart. And then with that power clears away all the darkness. So that sort of sets your day to center and hey, I'm pretty calm, right? There might be something going on around me. There might be some disturbance in the force. There might be anything that's going to smash your day, whether it's your own personal health, whether it's your personal relationships, whether it's the town you're living in that's not doing well with the virus, whether it's the country that you live in, whether you're right or left, whether you're a conspiracy theorist or not, whether all that stuff, when you come from the place of everything that is above that, that has the bird's eye view, that has the meaning and the purpose behind everything that is, when you ask that to start to dwell in you, then everything becomes a better perspective. So you're not detaching from that, you are adding a lens from which you can look, where you can vibrate into that, where things that may trigger you before that, when you start to have this presence within you, it goes away. Which sort of leads me to the final thing I wanted to say, and that was I don't usually talk this much in a row. When you have this perspective, when you're starting to talk to the infinite mind, the prime creator, the source of all that is, who are you? Right? Why are you asking? A lot of mid-century theology in the West talks about your unworthiness and that God's doing you a favor to interact with you and so on and so forth. So you really have to have a slightly different perspective on that. When you actually do read all the holy scriptures and the holy books and you understand the methodology and the perspective of basically all forms of spirituality on the planet right now, their understanding at its core is that you are also an eternal soul, which may be a fraction of that infinite mind, prime creator, source of all it is, but you are eternal and worthy of existence, and you'll have existed before this life and you'll exist past this life. So, sort of in that mind, that gives you your sanction, your permission to address this infinite mind, prime creator. But you're asking for this dwelling in your current heart and your physical body to be manifested because you already know, as an eternal being, as a soul, that everything's going to be okay, right? Since you uh, were from the beginning, you'll be there in the end, and that's not heresy, no matter what you might think about that. Then you need to come from that perspective of this always will be. And so I had the idea that it's almost like gaming, and I don't game, uh, except on my phone. I have to do a couple things, but it's almost like you get a new operating system or a new phone, and for whatever reason your app got deleted, and you have to start playing a new game, and you get a new character, and it's fantasy creation or live action something or another, and you're playing, and you're like, okay, I've got to start all the way over from level to level to level. But in your mind, you already know how that all happens, right? You've played that game before, you know where the hidden secrets are, you know where the charge ups are, whatever it might be. You just need to add them to that current character that you're building to be all that it is, because you know that character eventually gets to the end where everything's okay, where there's a winning part, right? Because you exist outside of that. So when you're having this perspective of who you're addressing, the infinite mind, prime creator, the source of all it is, you yourself are looking at yourself as a character, who you are in this life, all your relations now, what you've done, what trauma you survived, what trauma you've healed from, the people that you've met, the relationships that you've built and destroyed, all your thing, that's this life, right? So you have to have the perspective of, when you're asking the infinite mind, prime creator, to come and be inside this, is you're adding a charge up, you're adding a augmentation, you're adding an upgrade, you're expanding the consciousness of the being that you are currently enfleshed in, so that you can be all that you are. So, maybe way too deep, who knows? Just wanted to share that, and I probably said too many times. You're going to go back and look at this and say, how many times did he say That's all right. I'm human. It's some good information, I think. Have a great day. And he says, stop.